It's been over 20 years since we last travelled these paths. Some places never leave you, even when the years drift by. Today, we go back to Homosassa to find out more about Florida's native wildlife. We invite you to join us as we discover more.
For some reason Steve's told me to film, and I'm sure that you'd all like to see all the orange flags and stuff up here, and there's a lane closure. We feel like we're in deep Florida here, because every time we open our mouths people look and then they say, "Oh, are you from Australia or New Zealand?" And we go, "No, we're from the UK." Where are we going today, Steve?
We are going to Homosassa's State Wildlife Park.
So they were hit by a hurricane last year, and so don't know how much of it will still be open or whatever. It is still open, so there'll be something.
There are police reported ahead.
Oh, this is great, this sat-nav. Tells you the police are ahead. Anyway, so that's where we're going today, and we'll film as we go along.
We have now arrived at the visitor centre, which is just off US 19. Here you will get easy access to the park, parking, tickets, a snack bar, gift shop and transport to the west entrance. There's a large car park with loads of space and big bays. Admission is $13 per adult, and we've chosen to take the 15-minute boat tour from the visitor centre boat dock to the park's west entrance. We will get the tram back. That's what we always used to do. The boat offers a serene and scenic journey that immerses you in the natural beauty of Pepper Creek, really getting you into the moment. The boat ride costs $5, but you can also walk for free or take the free tram.
This property was first established in the early 1960s by the Norris Corporation. Back then this place was known as the Homosassa Springs Attraction and was more of a zoo, featured exotic animals such as lions, tigers, and monkeys. In Citrus County, we are part of the Nature Coast. On the Nature Coast, we don't have large developments and high-rise condominiums. We focus on agriculture in this area. Last year, Florida was the nation's #1 strawberry and blueberry producer. Florida is also big into beef. At one time, Florida had as much or more beef cattle than all of Texas. Now, we never know what we're going to see on the creek. Every day is different, every trip is different. Which is the first of several wooden duck boxes on the creek. These are enough to nest and find shelter in. The female ducks lay around 10 to 15 eggs at a time.
Today, Homosassa Springs has algae-coated rocks, a green tint to the water, and reduced visibility from that seen in previous decades. These are the signs of the declining health of the spring due to decades of development in the watershed, increasing water withdrawals and nutrient pollution. Everything is interconnected. Florida springs are fed by one of the world's most productive aquifer systems, a natural reservoir for water in the rocks far below the surface. That water supplies 90% of Florida's drinking water, and the problem is not just in Homosassa, but across all of Florida.
They run on a continuous loop instead of a schedule like the boats do. I want to thank you all for coming out and visiting the park today, folks. We can't do what we do without your support, and we thank you very much for that.
One of the park's main attractions is the fishbowl, an underwater observatory that floats directly above the main spring, the source of the Homosassa River. Visitors descend into a submerged chamber with large wraparound windows for an up-close view of fish and often manatees gliding just inches away. Originally built in the 1960s, it opened in early 1964 and is currently closed for repairs aimed at enhancing window clarity and safety. In the meantime, guests can still enjoy wildlife from the park's above water viewing platforms. In the winter months, you get loads of wild manatees as they seek refuge in the warm waters of the springs. The birds and animals at the park are all native to Florida. Many have injuries or conditions that will make survival in the wild difficult, whilst others, such as alligators, have become too accustomed to humans, posing a potential risk. Here they are provided a safe environment to live out the rest of their lives. These are red foxes, the largest of the true foxes, and are found worldwide. Their adaptable, predatory nature allows them to thrive in diverse environments, classifying them as an invasive species. Once common in the southeast of America, the red wolf is now considered an endangered species, mainly due to interbreeding with coyotes, so they are now being rebred and reintroduced. So this is a Sherman's fox squirrel. Now this type of squirrel nests in oak trees using leaves and Spanish moss to make its nest, but has lost much of its habitat to farming and development. This particular one was taken from the wild to be a pet, which is illegal, and then it was brought to the park as it couldn't be released. These are Florida Sandhill Cranes, a non-migratory subspecies native to Florida. They are classified by the state of Florida as a threatened species, primarily due to developments impacting their habitat and other environmental pressures. Feeding them can incur a $5,000 fine. They have an elaborate mating dance and mate for life. This is the great horned owl, which is a very large owl, native to the Americas. These two visitors were here of their own accord, just watching, seeing what goes on. Here we have two bald eagles, the national bird and symbol of America, appearing on its seal. They are found near large bodies of open water, as these provide an abundant food supply and old growth trees for nesting. They are opportunist feeders, feeding mainly on fish. We've seen videos of them swooping down and snatching fish from the water with their talons. Unfortunately, both of these have had injuries to their wings, which require them to be amputated, so they're unable to fly. They are a striking bird, and so alert. These are brown pelicans, a seabird that lives near the ocean, with fish and amphibians being the major source of food. These can be found in a number of different places throughout the park. The American black vulture an imposing bird with a large wingspan. You'll see that later on at the bear enclosure. Their features are all evolutionary adaptations to life as an effective scavenger. These large wading birds are American flamingos, known for their reddish, pink plumage due to the pigments in the food they eat. They consume algae, shrimp and other invertebrates rich in carotenoids. They've been adapted as the iconic symbol of the state of Florida and are native to Florida, not escapees as some suggest, living on mudflats or near the lakes. With a very different appearance to other owls, the barn owl is the least common species of owl that breeds in Florida. Uniquely, it is the only species in its family. With a wingspan of up to 9 feet, the American white pelican is one of North America's largest birds. They breed in spring, and at that time adults develop a horny plate or knob on their bills, which then fall off once eggs are laid. These are believed to be a target when adults fight for territory, stopping serious harm occurring to the gullier perches, which would injure them for life. These elegant birds are Sandhill Cranes. They breed in open wetlands, fields and prairies across North America. They flock together in great numbers, filling the air with distinctive rolling cries. Mates display to attract each other with exuberant dances full of gangly grace. A fossil Sandhill Crane, estimated to be 2.5 million years old, was unearthed in Florida. These two just seem to have flown in. Here's the other one that's flown in. This is a Crested Carcara, and one of them, there are two in this, a male and a female. The female has impaired vision, so she can't fly, and the male has got a wing injury, which means he can't fly. And this little guy here is a red-tailed hawk who unfortunately got hit by a car, and that's why he can't fly away. They are native to North America. Adaptable, they can acclimatise to non-ideal habitats such as dense forests and sandy deserts. They are very common and easily trained as capable hunters. In the United States, they are most commonly captured hawks for falconry. That looks like a patient alligator waiting for its meal to arrive, ready to pounce. The Florida black bear lives mainly in Florida's forested areas. As seems to be all too common, they've seen habitat reduction throughout the state due to an increase in human developments. And there's that impressive wingspan from a vulture. At the back there, the keeper seems to be hand feeding the bear. Don't think I'd like my hands that close to a bear's mouth. The elusive Florida panther is a rare and endangered subspecies of the cougar that lives primarily in the swamps and forests of southern Florida. They are solitary, territorial, requiring large areas of undeveloped land to hunt deer, wild hogs and other small animals. Once nearly extinct, the population has slowly rebounded, but they remain critically endangered. On one of our visits to Florida, a wild bobcat sauntered past our pool. That's quite rare as they're quite an elusive creature, but by the time I'd grabbed my camera, it had disappeared. We never did find out what they were filming for, but it was a lovely cat just to sit and watch. Florida wouldn't be the same without its iconic alligators. They're so commonplace. Every villa we've stayed in has had at least one lounging in the backyard. They are found throughout Florida's freshwater habitats, including rivers, lakes and swamps. Once on the brink of extinction, they are now considered a rare conservation success story. There's a relatively small reptile house here. It features a motley collection of turtles and snakes, which are indigenous to Florida. Indeed, when we first came into the park, you will have seen from the footage that we saw a free-range snake basking in the sun. I remember the Reptile House being somewhat larger than what I saw this time, but that's probably just me getting older and time distorting things. The Florida key deer is a small endangered subspecies of the white-tailed deer. I passed their cage a few times before one finally came out and I could see him. They were nearly driven to extinction in the mid-20th century due to habitat loss, poaching and vehicle collisions, but they began to recover thanks to protective measures that were put in place. This park was originally a private-owned tourist attraction with exotic and trained animals like lions, tigers and monkeys. When the state of Florida acquired it in 1989, it shifted the focus to preserving native wildlife. As part of this transition, non-native animals were gradually relocated. However, when plans were made to move Lou, the hippopotamus, who had called the park home for 25 years, the local newspaper, the Citrus County Chronicle, launched a campaign to keep him here. In response, then Governor Lawton Charles declared Lou an honorary citizen of Florida, allowing him to remain. Lou, born on January 26, 1960, at the San Diego Zoo, moved to the park in 1964. Weighing in at 6,000 pounds, he was featured in several films and television shows during the 1960s, including Daktari. He holds the distinction of being the world's oldest living hippo. Sadly, Lou passed away on June the 8th at the age of 65, about 6 weeks after this video was recorded. With an average lifespan of 40 to 50 years, he had lived well beyond expectations. He was loved for his gentle demeanour and calm presence. His famous splash zone will always be remembered. One of the key mammals that we associate with Florida is the manatee. The numbers that we saw on this visit were significantly less than what we saw 25 years ago, which hopefully is a good thing. These are West Indian manatees, currently listed as a threatened species. Adult manatees have very few natural predators, calves are more vulnerable, and may occasionally fall prey to larger predators such as sharks or alligators, though such attacks are relatively rare. Their biggest threat is human activity, destroying their habitat, collision with boats and pollution. They are often referred to as sea cows due to their slow movements and grazing habits. They are herbivorous, feeding primarily on seagrasses and aquatic plants. Despite their size, they are graceful swimmers, using their powerful tails to glide through the water.
One of the things that I particularly like is seeing the manatees. We've seen them actually out in the wild before. When we actually came to Homosassa, they were near where we were staying. I still marvel at them. They've got such a lovely face. Very interesting mammal, very unusual. Apparently they were originally believed to be mermaids by the early sailors. I'm not quite sure how they got to that conclusion, but that's the rumours. And yeah, they are so docile, it's unbelievable.
Decided to make my way down to the gardens by the spring, which is near the fishbowl, which, if you remember, is currently going through renovation. So I left Joanne watching the manatees, as she didn't fancy the trip, given that the fishbowl itself was closed. An elevated boardwalk links the wildlife walk to the gardens and offers glimpses of manatees, fish and other aquatic life just below the river surface. The garden by the springs is nestled beside the park's main headspring, and it features a charming central gazebo, manicured lawns and thoughtfully planted native and exotic flora. Near the garden is a turtle pond where children and visitors can watch turtles basking and swimming, and there's also nearby picnic pavilions and an observation deck that provide the perfect spots to rest and take in the environment.
So this is the goldfish bowl, where they're currently replacing the glass on the observation platform. So I've just navigated round the whole of the park, and very enjoyable walk, lots to see, lots of nature, which is what we like about it. The animals that are here, a large proportion are here for their own safety. In fact, all of them are here for their own safety. Some of the birds can't fly. They've had to have wings amputated due to damage from cars. some of the alligators, they've been fed by humans and they're not afraid of humans anymore, and therefore they can't be left out in the normal Florida environment, so they're brought here. In fact, the number of alligators here from the last time we came, there's only 3, and when we last came I would say there was easily 20 or 30. But the park is really nice. It's a nice enjoyable stroll, really relaxing, and you get to see a lot of Florida as it was originally intended. Now there's a squirrel sitting down and sunbathing in front of me. It doesn't seem to be particularly worried. There has been a large amount of storm damage. The bridge that I'm about to go over was one of those, where effectively the water flooded right up to the handlebars of the bridge, and you can imagine the logistical nightmare in protecting the animals so that they didn't get impacted by the storm. And that's meant that a number of the facilities are closed at the moment, and it's still well worth coming. It's well worth seeing. The other attraction, for want of a better description, is the goldfish bowl, as they call it, and basically it's an underwater cavern which has glass, and you can actually see the manatees swim, and at the moment the glass in that cavern is being replaced, so you can't actually get to there. So the floodwaters came up to the height of this post. Not sure what the plan will be for this afternoon. We may actually go and have a look around the parts of Homosassa, see if we can remember our way around. It's been years since we were last here. I want to say at least around the year 2004, so 21 years ago.
So, having completed our visit to the park, we made our way back to the west entrance and the tram stop for our journey back to the visitors centre. En route back, we discussed what we'd do for the rest of the afternoon, and we decided that we would try to find a couple of the villas that we used to hire back in the day, mainly to see if they'd changed and what had happened to the surrounding area. Neither of us could remember the addresses. We no longer had any records of those trips, so we will be navigating purely based on memory. And I can tell you that is never a reliable method when you get to my age. The tram stops the other side of the boat dock, which you have to make your way through in order to exit from the visitor centre. First, we decide to look around the gift shop, more from curiosity than any real intent. These days we seem to spend more time decluttering than we do anything else.
Sugar Mill Ruins, that was it?
Yeah.
Why didn't we go down there then? I knew it wasn't that far. And there's the Sugar Mill. Bit bumpy. There. Absolutely lovely around here. If you want to do Florida differently, then, you know, around here is absolutely beautiful. If you want relaxation and nothing going on, there's lots of wildlife state parks, isn't there, Steve?
Yeah.
Canoeing and that kind of thing, bicycle rides and stuff like that. This is the place to come, but there's certainly no Disney or anything like that.
We're now passing the library. 25 years ago, this was the only way that we were able to access the internet if we wanted to. It was very hit and miss, so it was really only suitable to pick up emails.
These are for sale.
Are they? Oh, I bet they're amazing. No pool or anything. Actually, they're quite small. It's still lovely round here. Even though, you know, there's a lot more houses.
Now, this navigated by memory is not all it's cracked up to be, because Joanne and I have different memories.
Wonder if we'll see a wild animal.
No, it's a dog. This is an in-house joke in our family, because that bridge that you've just gone over, I thought I saw a wild animal, because all these houses weren't here. It was all like just the trees and the shrub, and I thought it was a wild animal. I didn't know what it was, and it was some hairy dog, wasn't it? And they've never ever, and that must be 25 years ago at least, they've never ever let me forget it.
Amazingly, and despite a few wrong turns, we had actually managed to quite quickly find the road on which two of the villas that we used to stay in were located. This is the second house that we used to rent. Can't remember what the name was, and it has certainly been significantly improved since we were last here. Oh, it's nice. West Grybick Drive.
And that was the first one, Kelly's Retreat.